Hello and welcome to the fourth part in our Dominion 6 guide for new players. Good to see you again. In this episode we're going to go over formations, basic army and commander scripting and seeing our first battles. Finally, a little bit of action. So, we'll start off where we left off last time. We've done our first turn and now we're at the start of turn 2. Now we can see from our messages, we've got a couple of messages that have come in. Whenever a nation declares a prophet, a game-wide message is sent out. As we can see, there was a proclamation from both us as Ulm and a nation called Bandar Log for our pretenders. This can be useful to see what other nations are in the game and give us an idea of what the pretender is like. Let's have a wee look. So, given that their god is called Death Stink, and from their titles, the bit that's after their name, seems like they are probably some kind of major death mage user. Or possibly a lich, demi-lich. Could also be a rainbow pretender with a lot of death scales. That's kind of what we can see from there. Should be fun in the future. We can also see here that Earthsneck, our god, has sensed all 3 thrones in the game. So let's have a little look and see where he's found them. So he's found one in the endless caverns underneath the ground. And it looks like we've got one there and one up here. So we've got 2 thrones above ground, and the last one's underground near where we started, so we'll have to go into the depths of the caverns to get that one. So let's get ready for our first expansion. In order to do that, we need to add the troops we just recruited into our army, set up our army formations, do some scripting for our units and our commanders, and then go to town. I'd like to point out as well, expanding in Dominion 6 is definitely harder than what it was in Dominions 4 or 5. The number of independent defenders is much higher than it previously was for most provinces, so if you lose a battle, don't feel discouraged. It's one of the main benefits of having an awake pretender like we currently have just now as well. So let's first select our capital, and then we're going to click on the cross sword icon, which is up here, or press T to go to the army setup screen. Here we can see our 3 commanders that are currently in Ulm, Lothar, Earthsneck, and our new Master Smith. The troops are currently under Lothar's command, and also the units we've recruited in the garrison. Do note that these units garrisoned are different from province defence. Garrison units in a province act as though they've been commanded by a commander with a defend order, but they can still be added to an army and moved, unlike province defence. So let's add them to Lothar's army now. You can select a troop by left-clicking its sprite, like so. You can add more troops to your current selection by clicking on them as well. If you wanted to select all troops of the same type, you could either alt-click or double-click one of them. So you can see that we've now selected all of the troops. From here, to add them to our Prophet's army, we can click on the commander themselves, which will add a new squad. Or, if we want to, we can add them to an existing squad that's already within the army. Next to that, we can see that Lothar can lead up to a total of 100 troops. Not bad. Next, we can see that Lothar and his men use 31 supplies in a province to keep themselves fed, which isn't much for now, but that will grow as the numbers in your armies and the number of your armies grow larger. You also notice that Earthsneck and our new Master Smith have a purple flag with a number next to it, which shows the number of magical troops they can lead. Lothar, because he doesn't have any magic paths, cannot lead any magic troops. We're going to put all of Lothar's troops into a single squad. This does give us less tactical flexibility, but it means that our troops are less likely to rout in battle. So to easily select all the troops in the squad, mouse over one of them and press the A button. That will select all troops within that squad. We can then click on another squad that Lothar has, or on Earthsneck if we wanted to add them to that squad. So what we're going to do is we're going to just click on everybody and have them all in one squad like that. Now that we have Lothar's troops all together, let's tell them all what to do. So by clicking on the Set Battle Orders button to the right of the squad, we can give the squad scripting so that they know what to do in battle. Let's click on that, and we're going to give them the hold and attack command. You'll see at the bottom of the screen, if you hover over it, it will give you a description of what's going to happen. So let's click that. So what will happen now is the squad will hold their position for 2 turns before advancing. Unfortunately, they don't have any missiles, so they won't be firing anything like that. What we can also do is we can give them specific targets to go for in the battle if we'd like to. We're actually going to choose the closest enemy. So what will happen is they'll hold for 2 turns, and then they'll start marching forward and attacking the closest enemy squad. Good. So now that we've got that sword, pretty easy to go. We should probably also give Lothar something to do. So if we click the set battle orders for him, to the right of his little green box, we can now set his orders as well. You can see that it's slightly more advanced than what it is for our normal infantry squads. We can give him up to 5 personalised orders for him to carry out, and then give him his main task. As Lothar is now Divine Spellcaster, seeing as he's our prophet, we can get him to cast spells. If we click on Advance and cast spells, or press the D button, he will automatically march forward and cast spells on the enemy. Given that we've told his troops to hold for the first 2 turns of combat, we should probably tell him to do the same, or else he's going to end up marching in front of them and probably getting caught out in the open. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around to single round orders, and we're going to tell him to hold or cast a spell. So now what he's going to do, he's either going to hold in place if he can't cast a spell on anybody, or if he's able to, he'll cast a spell. Excellent. If you look here where it says cast in brackets, we can click on that to actually tell him directly what spell to cast, rather than him trying to determine what spell would be best to use. So we click on this. It will show us now a list of all the spells that he can cast. As a new prophet, he now has Holy level 3, or Priest level 3. So he can cast any spells up to Holy level 3. He cannot cast the 2 spells at the bottom. That is why they are currently greyed out. Purely because he just doesn't have enough magic to cast them. So looking through this list of spells, we're going to get him to cast Sermon of Courage. Each spell in this list can be right-clicked so you can see what they do. Right-clicking on Sermon of Courage will show us this. And what Sermon of Courage does is it has a large area of effect, and it improves your soldiers' morale within that area of effect. That seems pretty good for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit out of this, and we're going to choose to use Sermon of Courage. So now what's going to happen for Lothar is he's going to hold in place, or he's going to cast Sermon of Courage, and then he's going to advance and cast spells. As it stands, he's only going to hold for 1 turn, which means he might still end up in front of his troops. So we probably want him to hold and cast again. Probably casting Sermon of Courage again. We could repeat what we did in order to cast it twice, or by pressing the X key, we can duplicate the previous order given. Now, Lothar will cast Sermon of Courage twice before advancing and casting his spells behind his unit, keeping up with them. Excellent. Very good. Let's go set up our formations now. We're going to come out of Lothar's orders, and we're going to left click on the green tab on any of the commanders or units. Doesn't matter anywhere where it is. We're going to click on the units this time. So here we go. This is us in the formation screen. We're able to click through to select any unit that's currently here. So right now we can see Ersnek, Vladimir, or you can drag a selection box and you can select anything within inside it. And if you want to get something in particular, left click on them and you'll be able to see them. In order to change the formation, or where the formation is for a unit, you can right click and you'll set them up on the battlefield in that area. So let's set Lothar up a little bit ahead here, and then we're going to left click on this blue blob here. This is our infantry unit. Let's right click them in front of Lothar so they can protect him from the front. By default, disciplined troops can be set up in either a box or skirmish formation, like so. In a box formation, they deploy in a square. They can set up in a skirmish formation, which is similar to the box formation, but the troops are far more spread out. This is not ideal, as it's easier for them to be surrounded like that by a spread out enemy, where the centre will not be able to help fight with the outside. Lothar, however, is a good leader and can set up his troops in 3 additional formations, line, sparse line, and double line. You can click on any of these formations to see how they change the shape of the blue selection. This will show you how your troops will set up. In a line, they will form a solid line of troops. Sparse line is similar to a line, but will have some gaps in it so your troops can cover more ground. And a double line will have your troops arrange themselves in 2 rows, similar to a line but much more compressed. For our purpose, let's select a line formation. Now our troops will hold for 2 turns in a line before closing with the enemy with their commander in tow. Let's sort out our pretender now. If yours isn't awake, don't worry, this won't take long. Left click on your pretender. You might have to cycle through to find him. And then what we're going to do is going to right click him to one of the sides slightly in front of the troops. If we click the Set Battle Orders button here, we can give him orders from this screen as well. Let's tell him to hold or cast for 1 turn, and then as his main order, let's tell him to attack the rearmost enemies. Now he will cast 1 spell, or hold then charge forward towards the rear of the enemy's forces. This means he's in front of our troops, but the Ursnek's a pretty tough cookie to crack. I'm sure he'll be fine. Excellent, now our troop preparations are done, let's close the formation screen and head back to the map. Now we've just got to decide who we're going to fight. Looking around, we can see that there are horse tribes in Iona, what looks to be militia, light cavalry and heavy cavalry in Yankeep, and infantry in Hamain. Hamain would be a good target for us. Given that the Throne of Ascension near us is underground, I think heading towards Yankeep to get closer to it would be better. You can also see that our dominion has spread over the surrounding provinces. Now you'll notice when we right click, we get the province details for all 3 of these provinces, including one from Apjar and the Typhian Sea. This is very useful. When your dominion spread, it gives you basic readouts of whatever provinces it covers. Excellent. That means we don't have to send a scout to those locations. As a note, if you're using your pretender to help you expand your territory, try to stick to your dominion where possible. Fighting in your dominion gives your pretender 10% more hit points, 0.5 magic resist, and +1 strength per level of friendly dominion in the province they're fighting. Also, if you're fighting in an enemy dominion, those turn into penalties rather than benefits, so be careful where you use your most important unit. Now we get ready to fight. Let's select our capital, and let's select both our prophet and our god, and then give them a movement order into Yankeep. Both will arrive and fight the defenders together. We will leave our new Master Smith to research. He does a much better job at that than our god, because we can see that our drain scales are not affecting his research. Thanks to his unhindered researcher ability, his magical research is not hindered by a drain scale in any way. As such, he remains at research points 11. This is great for us. He's already much faster than our pretender, and it leaves our pretender to do much more important things. Now, because of our preferences to auto-assign new commanders, our new mage is automatically researching instead of defending. If you do not have this enabled in your preferences, he will defend by default. Best let him hit the books and set him to research. Now we've done our research last turn, let's go to the research tab and see how we're doing. As you can see, we've not made much progress, unfortunately. But at least it's a start. Keep in the habit of checking your research tab so that you're working towards what you want, rather than letting it default to conjuration. Now that we've checked our research, let's go back and make sure that we've also done all of our actions for this turn. What else do we need to do? We've done research, we've done our actions, recruitment. Let's check our capital. Let's select our capital and then head to the recruitment page. As we can see, we're producing the Master Smith that we were producing last time, and we have 2 commander points left over. Let's get another Master Smith so we can keep pushing out more armies. We should probably also shore up on more infantry of Ulm now that we have more resources. Let's get another 10. So we're going to shift click the infantry of Ulm. Excellent. That's all we can really do for recruitment just now, so we'll just exit that. As a quick tip for new players, it might seem like we're done now. However, by pressing N, we go to the next commander that is idle, defending, or hiding. Doing so takes us to our spy hiding in Iona. Don't worry, I almost forgot about him too. What we'll do is we'll get him to keep on sneaking further west to find out what's out there. If we click N again, we have no other idle commanders. So this time we really are done. Always check to see if you have unused commanders before ending your turn, or, in the game settings, turn on Warn on End turn, which will tell you if there are any commanders sitting idle. Okay, and with that, I think we're ready to end our turn. So there was a battle in Yang Keep. Let's view the battle. So here we are, we seem to be on a fairly grassy plain. Before us are the enemies, shooting some arrows by the looks of things. We see our great pretender here, rushing forward, seemingly straight into the onslaught of the enemy cavalry, but they are going right past him, straight into our infantry. I'm sure our god's happy about that, maybe our infantry are a bit less so. However, we've got the magical abilities of Lothar helping us. Unfortunately, our god seems to be attacking a stray horse. Maybe he got a bit hungry. Yeah, that's not ideal. Overall, we'd hope our pretender would be more attacking the rear, but there we are, he's finally finished him. As it comes to the heavy cavalry, looks like a few of them are fleeing against our onslaught of our good troops. They were the real issue this battle. The militia aren't so much, so hopefully we'll be able to clean up from here. Let's have a quick, if we right click on Earth Snake, we can see his stats. As you can see, he has a massive 233 hit points, which is excellent, and he's currently taken 2 points of damage this entire battle. Admittedly, he's only been fighting a runaway horse, but that's fine. He should be able to hold his own fairly easily against these horse archers, while the rest of our troops come up to support him. And we should see as well that, there we go, it's starting to happen now. Because of the Earth Serpent's fear aura, what will be happening is the troops around him will be starting to get scared, and they'll be starting to fail the morale checks and starting to run away. As more of them die, they'll have to start making more and more morale checks, and they'll be less and less happy. And with that, the independent armies are routed. Excellent. So with that, we can watch as everything happens down, or comes down. We can press F to fast forward, or if you want to, press T to go to turbo. And everybody just marches on. You can press Q at this point to quit, or press M for menu, and click the quit battle replay. You can also turn on different things like grids, the combat rounds, show squares, get a more detailed battle log than we did there. We're not going to go over that for just now. Let's quit the battle replay. Excellent. That was a pretty good battle. You can also read the battle, so you get a list of the casualties. So we lost 5 of our troops, killed 29 of them, and good old Mr. Earth Serpent killed 3 himself, and Lothar, our prophet, killed 2. Overall, I think that was pretty successful and a great first battle for us. So I hope it went just as well on your end. As we can see here, things are progressing rather nicely with our knowledge of the world, and that's where we're going to end today's episode. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful for you, and I hope you're getting on okay playing along at home. In the next episode, we're going to continue our expansion, start really bringing the pain to these independents, and expanding our dominion. Take care.